Over the first 70 years or so, Columbia saw many changes, from rebuilding after the Civil War to expansion in population and business, which of course required the Columbia Police Department to expand too. But size wasn't the only change. By 1914, 12 men had served the city as chief, or captain, as their rank dictated. Many were selected for their 2-year term more by politics than skill as a policeman.
There was grumbling that the world is changing and they're wanting a little more professional behavior from the police department.
An early version of the civil service was created, which also impacted the tenure of the top cop.
At the time, they went on the philosophy that once you're elected chief, it's for life.
And therein lay the next bout of drama inside headquarters. In 1914, John Richardson was made chief of the department, which continued to grow along with the time. During his tenure, the selection process changed again and began to model the more modern civil service process we see today. And for reasons historians still ponder, the winds of change continued to blow in the city, and it turned out that for life was just a bit too long.
But then at some point, for some reason, there was a desire to get rid of him.
In 1921, Richardson was replaced by an officer he'd worked the streets with, Frederick Strickland, which set the stage in court for a battle over the gold badge.
There is a lawsuit that is filed by him because he is told that he will be police chief for life, when in fact, he is not police chief for life.
His argument was time-honored, but not favorably looked upon by the court.
I was in place, basically grandfathered me in, and the judge and the court system said no.
Strickland went on to serve for about 9 years as chief.
By 1940, the bugs in the civil service system had been worked out, for the most part. It also marked the beginning of the tenure of the longest-serving chief of police in Columbia, Chief Lyle Campbell.
Campbell was the longest-serving police chief that we've had, and he also came up through the ranks.
Chief Campbell, in his day and even in history, is seen as an effective leader and policeman.
Not a lot of controversy that really surrounds him.
Former State Senator Jake Knotts has fond memories of the man who would ultimately start his life in public service.
Chief Campbell was a chief. He was the chief as long as I could remember. He told me one time, said, boy, you grow up, keep your nose clean, I'll make a police out of you.
Well, Chief Campbell was good to his word, and when the would-be senator came back to Columbia, he went knocking on the doors of headquarters. And the rest, as they say, is history. History tells us that Chief Campbell put the department on the map, winning awards and setting standards as a professional police agency.
The city won awards for safe pedestrians, safe crime, safe vehicle.
But the chief wasn't all about shining his medals. He also changed the way police officers were trained.
The only training you had was on-the-job training and with looking at senior officers.
They'd put you with someone for a couple of weeks on a beat and send you away. And sometimes they didn't do that. They didn't give you a gun. You just said go. He was responsible for basically modernizing us to where we are today as far as having what we have and having the training that we have and pushing for it.
It didn't take long, however, after Campbell's retirement in 1971, for Chief William Cawthon to undo 3 decades of work.
Mishandling evidence and giving out guns that weren't registered. Cawthon took a big bulk of the heat, even though there was a captain of investigations that was fired and some other investigators underneath there.
Although never directly blamed, questions of missing evidence, property, and even guns among his subordinates sullied the shiny reputation of the CPD. And in 1978, Chief Cawthon stepped aside.
But not even all the controversy, poor decision-making, or even questionable backgrounds together could add up to the chief that was convicted of bribery, faked his own death, and was apprehended at the Magic Kingdom. Tomorrow, we look at the life and the faux death of a Columbia chief of police. Tyler Ryan, Watch Fox News.